Well, good morning, friends. Welcome back to the Firepit. Richard here, and I'm just thankful to be here today and to be here to be able to share with you. And this is actually round two of this recording. I'm actually trying this again. Yesterday morning, I tried to go through this conversation, and during the transfer process and the edit, the whole file disappeared, which was fantastic. So, anyway, but that's okay. But I'm glad to be back here to be able to share my heart with you all again, and to be able to share what's going on this week. And I pray that you're all doing well. I pray everybody's had a good week, and it's healthy, and that your hearts are in a good place. And I come with you this week, and just it's been a lot weighing on my heart, a lot weighing on my mind, and it's been an interesting time. And I have a confession to make that. And for me, there's been a lot of challenges internally, a lot of things that have just been going on in my mind, a lot of struggle, especially the last 3-4 weeks or so, and because I'm in a new season, I'm in a new work environment in my daily work, and no longer a salaried employee. I'm working off commission, but it's a job that I'm enjoying, and that I loved. I love the opportunity, the people I get to meet and talk to, and but it got a little stressful when some sales weren't going through and things weren't happening. And of course, I don't make an income when the sale doesn't happen, and so that just it began to weigh on me when I went through kind of a period that of a couple really good months, and then things just kind of petered off for a little bit, and it's helped me learn kind of the game of the ebbs and flows that is the sales environment, and which is fine, and it's just good. And but I tell you, beginning this week especially, I got probably into Sunday morning, and then into Monday, and I felt exhausted, I felt tired, I just there wasn't a whole lot. I felt I didn't have a whole lot to give in all that, which was, for me, that's frustrating. It's frustrating to not be able to not feel like I have the energy, to not feel like my spirit's in a good place. And school bus number 1 leaves for the morning, and school bus number 2 comes in. So y'all might hear that. But anyway, I was just sitting there, and then got Monday morning. I'm just sitting there like, God, what is going on? Why do I feel so just beat down? Why do I feel so exhausted? And Jesus took me into Matthew 11. And in Matthew 11, when Jesus talks about those that are tired, those that are weary, come to me. Come to me. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. Come to me, and I will give you rest. Let me show you the unforced rhythms of grace, as Peterson's translation says. And which was good. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I know. I got to rest in you, Jesus. But there was a part of me that's like, okay, is that it? Is that the whole thing here? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Is that really the answer? To have a part of me is like, I want to hear the answer that yes, you're just going to get those sales through, and things are going to go well, and then you're going to be fine. And no, just rest in me, and I will show you how to do it. I will show you the unforced rhythms of grace. I will show you how to take a true rest. I will show you that the burden is mine. The burden is not yours. My burden is easy and light. The gentleman, when I was at the intensive back in 2016 with Become Good Soil, he gave this kind of illustration of the yoke, how a yoke with an oxen, Um, you're in the middle. The middle carries all the weight. So imagine Jesus being right there in the middle, carrying that yoke right there in the center. And if you're on either side of him, helping to carry, the more further you get out to the edge, on either end, the more weight you begin to carry. But the more you press into Jesus into the middle, the more you come to the center, the less weight that's on you. It starts to become a shared weight, and then eventually all that weight, it stays on the middle. The more you press into the middle, the more you press into Jesus. And it was just the reminder that, yeah, the burden we don't have a burden when we are firmly enveloped in with Jesus. And it was just so amazing. And the reminder, just the couple of readings that I've had the last couple of days. A couple of days ago, just a reminder to cling to Jesus, and this was something that Elder wrote in Beautiful Outlaw, where he says, "Your suffering is neither pointless nor isolated. Somehow Jesus' sufferings overflow into your lives. Somehow ours are linked to his. This is a great honor. It grants our sorrows an incredible dignity and invites us to know the intimacy and connection with Jesus in them because of them. The sufferings of Jesus are the noblest part of his life story. The crown of thorns. What an unspeakable honor that he would share even this with us. This fellowship is a treasure we have not tapped into, but one we will need." And it's that reminder to cling into Jesus. And Hebrews 12:2-3, where it says, "For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary or lose heart." I was like, oh man, that was so good, just to receive that, of remembering, again, clinging to Jesus, of really pressing into Jesus, of really just being back surrendered into him, of consecrating and giving everything over to him. All my frustration, all of that, all my weariness from everything. And I was even a little frustrated myself, because the other day, my buddy calls me after work. It's like, "Hey, you want to hang out? I'm just going to see how you're doing and everything." And I was just like, man, I'm so worn down right now. I need to sit and I need to rest. I don't need to do anything, which I think was, in many respects, was actually a good thing. But I also felt a sense of, I felt bad, because I was like, man, I should be able to hang out with my brother. You should be able to spend some time with him and not feel, but I think in some ways, sometimes just that little bit of solitude and sit on your own. And I came up here that evening and just had a cigar and lit a fire, and it was actually good. I was able just to be in the presence of God, and just I didn't have to say anything. I really didn't have to say anything. I just had to sit and be, and just allow him in and invite him in. And it did my heart so much good to do that. And my wife, God bless her, she could see it all over me, and she called it out of me, and she's like, I know. And when you're beat down, it wears us down, and so I realized the effect that it has if I come in the end of the day and just didn't go the way I felt that it should have, that I thought it would, and I'd come in and I was so defeated, and she could see it all over my face. Like, that's not first, that's not you. It's not who you are, but when you come in like that, it really sucks the energy out of me, out of my spirit, out of my soul, and to have her speak that was really good. And it wasn't this condemning thing, and that which I love about my wife, Amber, is that it's this place of love. Like I'm concerned about where you're at, and concerned about what's going on, and maybe you just need, why don't you go up to the fire pit? Why don't you go up there and just sit and just be by yourself for a little bit? And it was good, and it was just a good thing to have. And then the next morning I'm reading, and in my next devotional the next day really talked about staying true to God in the midst of all this, and quoted from Hebrews 11:2, where he says, through their faith the people in days of old earned a good reputation. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that truly mean? And I was trying to really to put the two together, and I'm going to read a little bit of this devotional as well, and where he talks about that, where he talks about the faith of yes, Peter was freed, but James, who died by the sword, ultimately won. Death never defeats the Christian. Also, none of them received what was promised, but because Eden will not be restored on earth until Jesus returns. And then he says that the mighty victory is staying true to God. And when I say he, this is again from Eldridge. This is from his Restoration of Your Devotional. It is maintaining a mature perspective where God means everything to you through glorious breakthrough and in the midst of a terrible affliction. If you do not hold fast to this, you will be shaken when your prayers do not seem to prevail, and you will fall prey to feelings of failure and despair, or you will be grasping at promises of unending victory, looking down on those who do not see things as you do. You will be forced to ignore the sufferings of Christ and your honor in sharing in them. And you'll miss the goal of life, which is not unending breakthrough, but something more beautiful and everlasting, the beauty of Jesus Christ, which your Father is committed to forming in you. And he says, how we handle suffering and disappointment is so critical. Have you been losing heart? Ask Jesus to strengthen you where you are weary. And I was like, wow, that just really set into my heart. And I really kind of, as I read through that, it was such a profound thing of just remembering, again, clinging to Jesus, staying true to God in the midst of affliction, in the midst of weariness, and when things seem so difficult, of how important it is to just stay true to God and really and be there in his presence. And so that night before, sitting here on my own by the fire pit was just good. It was needed. And then as I stepped into the coming into that day, right, I was still kind of processing. Okay, the through their faith, the people of days of old earned a good reputation. That Hebrews 11:2 verse. I was like, wow, what is that? And I started thinking, okay, maybe it was the time. It was time. It was faith through trials. It was faith through affliction. It was faith through suffering. It was faith, and over time, again, through the mighty hall of faith, as Hebrews 11 is called, and all those people that are named in there and beyond, they earned their place there. They were just people just like you and me, right? But they earned their places because of their steadfast faith with God through the most difficult and the hardest of times, and God's faithfulness showed through all that. And and remind me again of how time as we see it is not the way God sees it. So all right then. God sees things, and things happen in accordance to the way God wants it to unfold, right? And so again, many of us have heard it's all in God's timing. God's timing is everything here. And I was like, okay, cool. And then yesterday morning, I go out to an appointment, and I'm meeting with this couple that are they're leading the renovation of this house that used to be this doctor's house, and one of only 2 places on the National Historic Record in this county, not where I live, but another county further east. And it's to become a local African American museum. I was like, okay, that's cool. And I got there, and this house, it's still being gutted. There's still a lot of work to be done there, but I was just talking. I got to spend some good time just talking with this couple about. We talked about God and the way God's flow, and I love the way the husband was saying it was like. I see everything in a flow, and God just flows, and things don't flow right. It doesn't go right, and from anything from a biological standpoint to just everything through life, if it doesn't flow properly, things start to go haywire. And so God's got a flow with the way He does things, and so I try. And He's like, I try to see things in a flow like that, and I was like, oh, that's good. And then they share with me that this whole project, this museum, and when I first pulled it up, I pulled up the address, and you could pull up the street view, and I was like, wow, okay, that's a museum. It's hasn't really that street view picture was several years old, I think probably a decade old, and it's not. And when I got there, it looked pretty much the same. But what I learned was that they had marked that place for to be transformed, and the dream of all that began 25 years ago. The wife had this vision of this taking place 25 years ago, and it took a lot of pain, a lot of difficulty, a lot of disappointment before it really began to take root, and in kind of this beautiful sequence, God aligned the right people to bring in the right funding, and people got behind it, and it's beginning to take root now, and it just, oh my gosh, you want to talk about just bringing all this back of just how wonderful God works in the time that He wants us to work. And just like this gentleman said, the flow, there's always a way God flows with us. It's never the way we want it to, the way we intend for it to. And it was just such a good thing to be reminded of, and the way God kind of set up that conversation. And I look forward to spending more time with that couple and talking more with them as I work with them and stuff. But it was so good. It was so good to my heart, and it kind of really helped to bring full circle what God was kind of really trying to lay on my heart this week, of that, yes, things may be a little tough right now, but I've always told you, just to trust in me and press into me and stay with me and stick with me, stay true to me, and I will be with you, and I will guide you through this. Be faithful. And that's just, my heart needed all of that throughout the course of the week, and the way God's continued to work in that, and it's been such a good thing. And so just a reminder, friends, that's just for all of you as well. Whenever things just seem to get difficult, whenever the trials come, the affliction, the despair, weariness, when you feel just worn down and beat down from things that are happening in life, again, stay true to God. Just cling to Him, cling to Jesus, and come to Him. His burden is easy, His yoke is light, and that we don't have to carry all of that weight on ourselves. Jesus is here to take that weight off of your shoulders. Let Him show you the unforced rhythms of grace that is through Him and through His cross. And it's just an amazing thing. So friends, I just thank you for allowing me to share my heart on that this week. I hope this is offering encouragement to you, because as I process through it, as I speak it out, it really helps my heart as well, to really think about and really remember just the way God works, and that He works the way He intends, not the way I want it to work out, not the way I plan for it to work out. And that goes for all of us, So that's so good. So again, thank you again. I look forward to seeing y'all again next time in another Firepit conversation. Until then, friends, take care and God bless.